and thank you for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester, where we enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. The tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And boy, do we have an interview planned for you today. We are speaking with Rahn Anthoni. He is a recording artist that I am sure many of you are familiar with. You can, of course, visit him online at rahnanthoni.com. And he is coming out of Atlanta. That's right. One of our own is on with us today. Christian R&B artist and special needs child advocate Rahn Anthoni, from tragedy to triumph. He is talking about how he has turned tragedy into triumph after the death of his special needs child, Aaron. Rahn never lost his faith in God, starting the Special Needs Rock Awards and the They-Cant-Talk-but-we-can organization. Now, if you happen to be unfamiliar, let me tell you a little bit more about him. Urban dance music and Christian artist Rahn Anthoni crafts hot hip-hop with an R&B flow with its deep roots and gospel flavors. His history with inspirational music has helped him develop a positive relationship with God and the world of song. Despite the heartbreaking circumstances around the death of his special needs son, Aaron Hatcher, Rahn has been able to turn tragedy into triumph, developing a message of hope and love to the masses. Rahn Anthoni hails from a small town in Florida. Growing up, he got his first break singing backup for the Songbird of the South, Dottie Peoples. This led to Anthony singing with Tate Music Group, which released his first single, Hold On. The inspirational song gave listeners the encouragement to hold on to life. Rahn has got his first break in television, hosting Star Power on the BET network. Anthony has been in movies, making a cameo appearance in Thena Films' Good Deed. Utilizing his experience and growing interest and knowledge in film and TV, Anthony developed The Rahn Anthoni Show, which has received over 1 million views on EOTM TV. In 2015, Anthony covered the Oscars red carpet for EOTM Media Group. Then tragedy struck. After losing his special needs son to abuse, allegedly by his son's teacher, Anthony has become an advocate for special needs kids. The Aaron Hatcher Awards are given every year in honor of his late son. His son also inspired him to start the Special Needs Rock Awards and They-Cant-Talk-but-we-can, a nonprofit organization providing advocacy for children with disabilities. From tragedy comes triumph. While with Beware Records, Tolga Kadis, who produced R&B hitmaker CDB, produced a hit song for Rahn called Give Your Love to Me. Now with the Emergence Records, Rahn Anthoni will be tearing up the charts with his high-energy music, spreading the love he carries in his soul. Anthony's latest single, I'll Trust You, written and produced by Dove Award-winning producer Freddie Jerkins III. The song is dedicated to the memory of Anthony's late son. It's now on radio stations everywhere. Anthony is also CEO of WMQGradio.com. The source, the #1 internet radio station, giving back to old school music. So without any further ado, let's get Rahn on. Hello, Rahn. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I love music. I grew up in a very musical family. That was something that my parents were very big on. Everyone had to learn an instrument. It wasn't just about, tapping your foot to a good tune. You needed to be able to do something, to contribute. So it is wonderful. Anytime I can really talk to someone who loves music, then I definitely want to have them on the show. And especially someone like you that's doing something just bigger than singing a song, but you're really making a difference in the world. But so let me ask you this. I've had people on that are, from every part of the United States. And be it that you grew up in Florida, do you think that that has helped to shape your style, or that that has had an influence on how you understand your faith?
Well, in Florida, I would say yes, because growing up in Florida, it wasn't that much to do, and because my family were they weren't strict, but I only knew about Christ. I didn't know about all the other things that a lot of my friends were getting into, and it kind of helped me to gear me to stay on the right side. And, with my mom, she was a single mom, and so I would kind of help her out as far as my sisters, and it kind of kept me in the right direction. And and in Florida, and I would say Florida, being from the South, it's a lot, with my grandmother teaching me how to be hospitable and all of that. So yes, I would say yes. Big difference.
It really does. The customs of our culture, and even though we may all look alike, when you grow up in different places, different things rub off on you. And it really can, I believe, too, make a difference about who you are and how people see your light, and how you share who you are with people. Just kind of shifting just a little bit, if you can, tell us about your son, and how did having a special needs child change your life?
Aaron taught me patience, taught me how to be kind. He taught me how to be affectionate, because affectionate is just, the way that he expressed it, it taught me how to express the same way. And he taught me to be humble, to love in spite of any given situation. And it's just a lot that he taught without even speaking. So it's kind of different, because as far as like taking your time, we had to handle him with care, get him in and out of the car, and bathe him. Everything that you would do for a person that's not able to do anything for themselves. And that teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to really, really love individuals, whether they can walk or talk.
It really does. I think that's where that that unconditional love, that just all-encompassing love, and like you said, you really have to learn to be patient and kind of slow down with yourself. And I think that most people should be able to understand that. If you've ever been sick in any way, and you personally, when you're ill, you slow down. You don't have the same pace, and you need people to slow down with you. So if you would just imagine, if that's your pace all the time, you do need people around you that are going to be loving and kind and gentle with you. And just to kind of ask, just in case there's someone who just recently have a special needs child has come into their life, is there any type of pointers or anything you could give them as far as a support group? What type of people do you need to surround yourself with or have around you and your child to make sure it's okay?
You know what? I would say within you. That's the only thing that's going to help you, what's within you. Because once you start listening to that power of God that's within you, then that voice from within will guide you to the right people. Because if you look at it on the outside and you're just anything can happen. But as long as you stay from within and you get so close to that powerful voice of God, that voice will guide you in every direction.
God, yeah, God. Yeah.
So I would definitely say the Holy Spirit.
And I can understand that. If we are guided in other things, then why not this as well? Because this is something that is equally as important. So would you say that during one of the more difficult times in your life, especially following his death, that your faith is what kept you going? Was that like at the top, or can you talk about that a little bit? Mm-hmm.
Yes, my faith is what kept me going because, everybody have faith, but it's just according to your faith. Now, some people in my family, they just couldn't deal with it according to their faith. And, I'm saying as far as the hurt and the pain and the missing and all of that. So with me, it was a little different because I meditate. I do a lot of different things that some people are afraid to do, and that's what helped me to not do anything bad, to love in spite of, to go on and fight for other kids and not be selfish and settle to be quiet. And I didn't do that. I don't want to. I just couldn't because I wouldn't want anybody to go through a heart attack, have open heart surgery because of a situation that, just happened. And that's what I went through. And that's why I speak out and I really haven't been selfish about it. I've just been selfless. I've just been just dealing with all of the legislation and all of that, trying to change things and make it better for these kids and for their families.
Now, when you say legislation, for those that may not be familiar with all that you're doing, and I know that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth later, but just to kind of touch on it a little bit, what is the legislation? What are you trying to get accomplished?
Well, what we did accomplish is getting the cameras in the classroom, and that was with Representative Stovall and Lala Dunson. Now, what I'm accomplishing now is the immunity law, which affects everybody. That immunity law, when government officials can beat you, they can kill you, they can do whatever they want to do, and they're immune to it. They take you up the steps until you get to the Supreme Court. They shut it down. So I'm in the process of, if you abuse any of us, not just special needs, you will have to, pay the consequences for it if it's proven. And right now, it's not like that. It's an immunity law that stands to protect the government officials. There's nothing to protect the constituents, us. So that's what I'm working on to make it better, to protect both, really.
And I know that with people listening from various states as well as locally, there's someone going, "What? I can't believe it." You will be surprised at just the things that are laws, the way that things are written. You're going, really? You would think it would already be the way that that you're fighting for it to be, as opposed to not the way that it should be.
Right.
And that's really interesting. So I know that you've just probably perked the interest of someone at that time. And speaking of this fight that you have going on and trying to get the laws changed, what is one way, if someone wants to help, and however they want to help, how should they contact you if they want to donate their time, or if they want to give, or just what should they do?
What they can do is contact me at they-cant-talk-but-we-can @gmail.com, and that'll come directly to me. That's they-cant-talk-but-we-can @gmail.com. And I need all the help. I need someone to just help me write a proposal so I can present it to our senators and things like that, just the little things. If someone could just help me research what's going on in other states, because this is going to be worldwide. I'm not just stopping in Georgia. This is my life now, because these kids are just being abused and they can't tell us. That's what I don't understand. Why would we allow that? And I've researched, and these laws have been in effect since the 1800s. So a lot of people are yelling and screaming and fighting and standing and marching, but nobody's going to the paper.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get it on paper, get it on these laws, change these laws, because we can do that. We can do it as a people, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm in the process of doing now. And it's not with malice intentions. It's with love and to care for both, for the government officials and for the community, the constituents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see, it's for both. Why protect one and not the other?
Exactly. Well, listeners, we need to take our short break, but when we get back, we will continue to speak with Rahn Anthoni, and he is talking about not only being a Christian R&B artist, but how he is turning tragedy into triumph. The death of his special needs son has turned him into an advocate, and yes, he is definitely making change. When we get back, we'll talk more about that. See you in a few, right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for visiting here with me today at Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. Our special guest today is Rahn Anthoni. He is from Atlanta, GA, and we are talking about being an advocate for special needs children, not just being a Christian R&B artist. Why? Because out of his tragedy, he is running towards triumph. He's getting it done, and I think that parents of special needs children, you guys need to perk up, because this is something that you need to listen to, but everyone else, we need to pay attention as well, because we too can help, because each one of us can really stand up and take a stand. So, Rob, we were talking about, how the laws are in place right now, and they don't necessarily cover us all equally when it comes to being under the eyes of the law. And I want to touch a little bit more about the foundation that you have, and that is They Can't Talk, But We Can. Can you tell us more about your organization?
Yes, They Can't Talk, But We Can. What we do, we help to make it better for our special needs community, and also the elderly. And when I say special needs, that's not just the special need kids. That's like mental illnesses. That's all types, heart disease. So what we do, when we see things, like when I see things on television, I go after it, and I help the parents that are, just say, for instance, an abuse case happened at a school. What I would do, since I don't have a lot of people with me working now, because we're in the process of, growing this, I go to the school and talk to the principals to find out what's going on, and if someone is going through something at a hospital. This one guy they wouldn't give him a heart, so I went and I fought for him to get a heart. He got a heart. Just different things like that. And we have the Special Needs Rock Awards, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But we also have the radio station that gives awareness to a lot of different causes that are going on, and we let doctors and lawyers and teachers and all come on the station to talk about how we can bring the solution. And that's what we've been doing with the They Can't Talk, But We Can. And we have a movie coming out about what happened, and we're working on a play.
Yeah. I think the more awareness is always awesome.
Yes.
Because people just don't know.
Right.
There was, and I know this is a little off subject, but I believe the name of the movie was Blackfish or Blackfin or something like that, about the dolphins and all of that, and or the whales, I'm sorry, and all of that. And once people saw that movie, there was a movement. There was an outcry of this cannot be. And it's so funny that we live in the world, but yet we're not kind of paying attention all the time, or we just don't see until someone makes a really big to-do, until there's a big ruckus about it.
Right.
And, thank God for some of the movies, for our indie producers out there, and for people that are saying, listen, we need to be aware of what's going on. Because I know that for many of the things that I now participate in, it's because someone said, hey, there's this movie on YouTube. or there's some videos, or there's someone out, canvassing the neighborhood in a grassroots movement that's trying to make a difference. And it really does, like I said in the beginning, that tongue, that spark can set a great forest on fire, and we know that if we just continue to talk and enlighten each other, then boy, cannot the body of God really move and make a difference.
Right.
Now, I know that you mentioned the Special Needs Rock Awards. Now, I know people love awards, and we love award shows and all of that. So can you tell us more about the Special Needs Rock Awards? When is it? Where is it? Can people participate? How does that work?
Now, with the Special Needs Rock Awards, it's going to be in Atlanta, and it's 6010 Singleton Road. It's at Al Noor Banquet and Gardens. And what it is, it's an award show that's going to honor our special need kids and adults, teachers, and also doctors and lawyers. Because what I'm doing is bringing everybody in that can make a change. They can see that these kids matter. We give them awards, and then we speak on how we can change it. We're going to speak on the immunity law. We're going to it's going to be real tasteful. And we just got a sponsor that's going to sponsor the entire event, and it's going to start October 22nd. Then we're going to do another one on December 3rd. Every year after that, it's going to be December 3rd, and it's going to be international. So they're going to, everything is free. Our sponsor is sponsoring this, and they want to pack the house because it's a special day for these kids. They are giving back. So I really want, if you're listening, if you could fly in, it's going to be free. We're going to have painting for the kids. We're going to have the award show. It's just going to be something exciting. And I started this alone, with my own money for the past 2 years. And this year, God opened that door. And it was like, wow. So you all are going to pay for everything, the event, the food, the decorations. They said, sure, God has it.
Yeah, and it was a blessing.
Yes. So we do have the booklet, and we're going to be having, if someone wants to get in the booklet, there's like a little charge for that. So it'll go for Aaron Hatcher, They Can't Talk, But We Can. But it's going to be a great time.
That is such a wonderful way to give back, and I think that sponsors are eager to sponsor and partner with people that are doing great things, and that they see that the person is passionate, but they're also empathetic towards a really great cause. And this sounds like something that we need to get behind and, definitely support, because you never know when it might be you. And you want, you never know what's going to happen. Now, I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit and talk to you about being an artist. Is it difficult to be a Christian in the music business? We hear all of these stories about the music business. Is it hard to still be a Christian and still be an artist?
It is great to be a Christian and be an artist, because you know why? Because they look at your light. And when they look at that light, if that light is shining, they will ask questions. And that's how you go in and you help the ones that are, you have some that are atheists, and a lot of my friends are, and they ask me questions, and I let them know, and they just watch my life. They don't watch me or listen to me. They watch my life. And then they ask questions, and it's a way that you can be sly as a serpent but harmless as a dove. So it is a great thing, and it's your choice to do what somebody else is doing. So I choose not to, but I still am in the midst of all this going on, because we always have to remember, and just like I always said, even with what's going on with my son, that's still God's child. Yes.
I love how you said that, they're watching you, and that is so incredibly true. And not just people that are in the music industry. I think especially our young adults as well.
Yes.
You know, they want to make sure that if you're telling them to do something, that you're already doing it.
That you
You know, it's like, I don't want to hear your hypocritical rhetoric, you know? I want to see if you're talking it, you better be walking it.
Walking
so
it, right.
I definitely think that we do have to shine that light, because we never know who is watching you.
Yes.
So true. That is so true. Now, I know that you recently won the Indie Music Channel Award for Best Contemporary Christian Song, I'll Trust You. Can you tell us about the song, and how did it feel to be recognized with this award?
Man, it was great. You know, at that time, I was going to go. I didn't even go because I was working with the special needs rock. You know, I had a meeting, and I had to choose. Okay, so are you going to go to that or this? So I chose to go with the kids, not thinking and not knowing that I would win. And so it kind of worked out, you know, because I handled that and then I won. So now I get to talk about it even though I wasn't there. And it was, you know, I did cry because it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's only to get me, who's the singer, on the platform to talk about what's going on in the community with these kids or all over the world. And so to win that award, it was the best thing that ever happened for the special needs community, because I am a voice, and everywhere I go or I sing that song or any other song, they're going to know about it, the people. And I felt so good for, you know, just to win that for the special needs community, who's always overlooked.
Yeah. Now, in the song, I'll Trust You, do you have a favorite? And if you don't, that's understandable as well, because I know sometimes it's hard to pick out a line or two in the song where it's like, I love the whole song. But do you have a special lyric in the song that really kind of speaks to you more, or when you get to that part in the song, you just really like to sing that part? Is there any part that speaks to you more?
I still trust you. That's it, because, you know, through all the hurt, the pain, the open heart surgery, all of the things that we've been going through, that I've been going through, the fighting the case and all that, and I could have just chose, you know what, forget this. But I didn't. I still trust God, because, I mean, I know that things happen. I know that there's a time for all of this. I know that when Aaron went on, he went to his father. You know, so that's called being selfless. So I really, and then also it's talking about a man, and that man is me. But I couldn't say I because it hurt so bad. So the song is written for this man. And I still trust you is the key, and that's the part I love to sing over and over again.
Yeah. And isn't that so true? As a cancer survivor, you know, going through it, I would tell people, you know, my faith is strong. My body has to catch up to where my faith is. You know, I'm fine. I don't look fine. You know, I may not be acting like I'm fine, but I know deep down inside that I am fine, and I must behave that way and praise Him in spite of the chemo, the radiation surgery, and all of that, and just trust and believe that I'm going to be okay, because I am okay. So I understand on my version of that. I definitely understand what you mean by that. And I know there's someone who's shaking their head going, yes. Sometimes, you know, we really and truly, we do have to walk in our faith. And it's interesting how sometimes people don't understand why it's important to read the Word. We know that our grandmothers do it. We know that our mothers do it, and we think that that's something that just, you know, seniors do. But even as the generation that you are, however old you are, it is so important to have that word in your heart, to have it in your spirit, because in times like this is when it needs to be able to come up out of you, when you need to be able to recall it, to help soothe your spirit, to help soothe your soul, and be able to just go before the Lord and say, you know, it's rough down here, and I need you. And all I can do right now is just believe, because I don't know what else to do, and just my faith is just going to have to stretch out. So thank you for including those words and knowing that not only did you need to remind yourself of that, but that you needed to remind others of that as well. Well, listeners, we need to take a short break, but don't worry. When we come back, we are going to continue to speak with Rahn Anthoni, and that's right. You can visit him online at rahnanthoni.com. We are talking to Christian R&B artist and special needs child advocate, from tragedy to triumph. It's something that we can all have. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thanks for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. Today we are spending time with Christian R&B artist and special needs child advocate Rahn Anthoni, from tragedy to triumph. Now, I know that some of you may not be familiar with what happened. We've been talking about They Can't Talk, But We Can. We've been kind of talking about this tragedy turning into triumph. But I realize that some of you might not be familiar. So, Rahn, if you can, I'm going to ask this question. Can you share a little bit about the tragedy, how you've turned that into triumph with They Can't Talk, But We Can? And can you also tell us a little bit more about what you're doing personally to get that moving and going? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, first of all, I like to let people know exactly what happened and how that corresponded with me starting Aaron Hatcher, They Can't Talk, But We Can. Aaron was allegedly abused, and it was covered up. It was started in like 2006, and we didn't know anything about it. And it was in his school, and this teacher, she abused him along with like 5 or 6 other kids. They were thrown out of the wheelchair. Well, Aaron was thrown out of the wheelchair, and the teacher passed gas in their face. She locked them in a room, and she threw the kids up against the wall. And these kids, you have to picture this, because they can't talk, and some of them couldn't walk. So, and to do that, yes, that kind of, and take in mind, we didn't know anything about it. We were taking Aaron to school. He was crying, and we didn't know because he couldn't tell us. And then we noticed that his hip was out of place. So after that, when I did find out, I found out after his death that he was involved in the first incident, because Aaron was involved in 2 incidents. Now, the second incident, this teacher in the same district placed a makeshift device which was broken out of a back brace, and she forced it on his neck because Aaron was growing to the right. And out of the malice, she forced him to look at her, and just like a regular child would look, but Aaron was going to the right to protect and to breathe. And so when she put that on his neck and fastened it with a belt, it cut off his circulation. And so for that whole month, we were going back and forth to the hospital. And at that time, I knew about this device, and I was telling them, don't do this. I was really, upset. And in the state of Georgia, you can't take your child out of school because they will put you in jail. So we would not send him sometimes, and then they would call, and it was just back and forth. So we would send him, and the nurse informed me this particular day. I think she called my wife, and my wife let me know to go up to the school. So I just popped up at the school. I witnessed this myself. I took a picture of it, and it was true. She had this thing on his neck with a belt, because we noticed the bruises on his back, but we didn't know where they were coming from. And that's what happened. And eventually he died from that. That contributed to his death. The week that I got the doctor to write a letter to ask him to stop doing that, and even they just kept doing it, and he died. And that's why I started all of this. And I started this, and I wouldn't settle because I just can't. I can't do that because yes, it's too many people that are involved, and too many kids are getting abused. And when I say people, it's other kids, other families that are still being abused in the school system. And if I stop and over money, then what's the use of me even? What's the use? So I chose not to. I chose to continue to fight, continue to be a voice, and continue to speak out and use social media, everything that I can to bring awareness to stop this from happening. And that's our story with that. So Aaron Hatcher, They Can't Talk, But We Can is an organization that's going to stand no matter what happens.
As it should. Good job, Papa. Good job. We have to have that. Let me tell you, there is nothing like a parent standing for their child.
Right. Right.
If you think that something has happened to your child, they talk about a mama bear. Let me tell you, a mama or a papa bear is a force to be reckoned with, because we will not stop until the wrong has been righted. You just can't do it. You're always going to be an advocate for your child. You just are.
And you know what? I didn't even know. Because I've been in the corporate field, most of my life, and the way that God has built me to handle it the same way. So I'm not rude, loud, obnoxious, and doing all of that. And honestly, I never knew, and this is going to sound very dumb on my behalf, but I never knew what an advocate was until somebody told me, "You're an advocate." And I'm like, what? Because I never had to go through that. So I never. Right.
It's like, okay, sure. If that's what you want to call me, I'll go with it then. Yeah, I tell you, we just never know how our lives are going to be used. You never know. And it's like, sure, I guess that's the right title for what I do. Let's go with that. Speaking of your various titles and hats that you wear, you are also a radio host. So tell me about your being a radio host on several different networks. How do you like doing that, and do you like having that voice?
Yes, I love it. I started with EOTM, where I host the Oscars at the red carpet for the station, and for 2015 and 16. And the Stellas, I've been there for that. I have WMQG Radio, which is a station that plays all music. We cater to old school. And what we do, we're the source. Like I was saying, we have so many different people, talk shows that come on. And I have one called Special Needs Rock, which is every Tuesday from 10 to 12 in the daytime, Eastern Standard Time. And what I do is that just give me that freedom to really, my last name is Hatcher, so to really hatchet down what's going on in the industry of, in the industry and also with the special needs and with elderly. And so I bring people on. And then I'm also on W Rock Radio Network, where I'm the host for millions. I think it's over 9 million people, and I bring you the 80s music. So, and I kind of sneak a little bit of what's going on with today's time, but I mainly keep it in the 80s. But I do talk about, and I encourage people, when you listen to the show, it's mainly to uplift and give you that energy that God has given me through the living of my son. I'm not going to say the death, because he's living right now.
Yes, without all of that the pain and the struggle and all of that. He's walking around and doing his thing in his rightly deserved body, and it is a beautiful thing. And I wanted to mention this when you were talking about how we forget that when someone is sick or ill or they're dealing with something and they pass away, that we want them to stay here. And
right.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, it's so selfish of us to feel that way.
Yes, it is.
Because we should want our loved one to go to that place that we say that we're striving for.
Right.
It's like we want them to do all the other wonderful, great things, but we don't want them to leave us. And it's like it's in a way so selfish of us to say that, but so human of us to feel that way. And because we were talking about just changing our perspective and how we look at things, I said that's one way that we do need to change our perspective, because I have had many of my family members pass away that I've been very close to, but I want what's best for them, and I want them to be happy, and I don't want them to be ill anymore. So I cry my tears, but at the same time, I have to try to remember the good times, like you said, and remember the times that make you laugh and make you smile instead of, the sorrow of them not being here. Most definitely. Now, I know that there are some things in the works for you when you're not being the advocate and when you are being the musician. What are some things coming up for you or that you're involved with when it comes to your music?
Well, I'm working on the tour with Extreme, so hopefully I'll be on that tour there where we're working that out now, that I could go around and sing I'll Trust You and all the songs that's going to uplift people. And it's the Extreme Tour, and we're working on the play and also the movie, the Aaron Hatcher story, They-Cant-Talk-But-We-Can. And that's going to have the soundtrack. And I do want to say before I forget that if anyone's listening that's in a network, a media network, I would love to have this on air for everybody to see, Special Needs Rock. So I want to throw that in there. Mm-hmm. And let's see, musically, I'm working on an album. I'm working with James Worthy. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer. Mm-hmm. And also my friends from Australia, Paul. His name is Paul, and he's helping me. We're doing some music out of Australia as well.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it wonderful to be busy and to have these things to work on? It is. Yes. It is such a blessing when you can work in the field, in the industry, in your passion, in your love, and just be able to, live out your purpose and do that. There are so many people that go to jobs and they hate their jobs and they're miserable, and it's you've got to get in the right place. You don't have to work and be unhappy. You can definitely do what you love to do in some way, shape, or form and still earn a living and be able to, provide for your family and all of that. So I'm so happy that you're still able to do both things and not have to sacrifice your music in any way to make sure that the cause and the purpose is fulfilled for your son. Yes. I'm glad about that. Most definitely. Well, we are down to the last few minutes of the show, so I just want to make sure that I say thank you again for being here on the show with us. And I want to, as far as your music is concerned, I want to make sure that people can get to you. Do you have a favorite way that you want folks to contact you, or what's your favorite social media platform? Are you a Facebook person or a Twitter person, or does it matter?
All of it. I'm doing it all. So they could reach me, and also if they could like my RahnAnthoni.com page and check out all of the things that I've been through as an artist and still able to make it. That's Rahn Anthoni, RahnAnthoni.com. And all the social media is RahnAnthoni. That's Rahn Anthoni. And that's it. and we could communicate because I'm the type of person we will become friends because that's how I am. You just have to, you just love people for who they are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I am me, and that's what it's about, being who you are.
And I think people appreciate your authenticity when you're that way because they know that you're not putting on, and you're just you. Right. And that's a wonderful thing. It's like, if you want to be pretentious, please go and spend time with someone else. I want to know you. I want the everyday you, the artist you, the advocate you. I want the nurse you, the mom, the dad, whoever it is. It's just present that self, and I think that people will be able to not only see what you're doing, but they'll be able to hear what you're doing. And just hear that you really have a heart to love and to reach out for everyone. So thank you so much for sharing all that you are with our listeners here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you for allowing me to speak and to heal, because this is my process of healing, and that's to talk about, what's been going on. And I really thank you for that.
You are so welcome. And listeners, thank you for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. And as always, may the Lord continue to share His grace and mercy with you, and may you shine your light in all you do. Until next time, have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.